Thank you, as Steve said, for taking the time to come out today. I hope that we're able to share some things that you can learn from, and hopefully you can learn some things from you as well. So 1946, just after World War II, my great-grandfather was a delivery driver, heating oil delivery driver for Atlantic Richfield Corporation. And Atlantic at the time, as major oil companies do from time to time, decided that they didn't want to be in the retail business anymore, so they offered basically franchise opportunities to their drivers, and my great-grandfather took him up on that, invited his son-in-law to join the business, and that was what started Worley Obetz. And Worley Obetz became a heating oil dealer, much like many heating oil dealers in the Northeast. It was a growth industry, conversions from coal were coming along, and the business grew and prospered. Fast forward to 1996, we've been in business for 50 years. So we thought we probably should take stock of where we've been and where we're at and where we're going to go. And so we looked at the first 50 years in business. We looked back and we decided that it had been a pretty good 50 years. And then we said, okay, what does the next 50 years look like? We said, well, that picture isn't quite as rosy nor as easy as what it was before. We had just been through Gulf War I. We had experienced unprecedented volatility in the markets. NYMEX heating oil contract was becoming more of a daily consideration. We had, of course, the biggest issue was a mature industry now. It was no longer a growth industry, so that pie wasn't growing. It became harder to gain new customers. There was environmental regulations. You remember all the tank laws that we were going through, so we were mortal enemies of the EPA and Department of Environmental Protection, etc. So if you happen to be in the transportation fuels business, motor fuels, gas station side of things, that was consolidating. In our area, we had two convenience store chains, one Wawa and the other named Sheetz, that collided right in our hometown, and were selling gasoline for a year better at 20, 30 cents under cost, and we didn't know how to do that. So there was a lot of challenges ahead of us. So the number one question was, do we want to stay in this business? And we decided that we did. We had a future in front of us, we believed. We had a good customer base, and so we want to keep that going. So that's number one. How are we going to keep our customer base going, if not growing, at least where it is today? So not long after that, we started looking for ways to differentiate ourselves. And we kind of stumbled across this product called biodiesel. And at that time, it was something that hippies would put in their Volkswagen and drive around from French fry stand to French fry stand. But we started trying it in our own vehicles, in our own homes, in our own businesses, in different applications. We picked a couple key customers to try it, and lo and behold, after a couple years of trying it out, we discovered that it's a really good product. It has some cold flow issues. If you manage that, stuff works just great. So we started offering it to our customers, and some of them started taking us up on it, but only a few. It really wasn't something that was taken off for us. So in the meantime, we said, okay, what else can we do to grow this business while we still have a profitable heating oil entity? Well, the obvious one is that we wanted to get into propane, and we're in a suburban area, so propane is a viable business there. So we started into that. Big capital investment, but long-term growth possibilities. So that was the second piece of that. Today, propane represents just about as many gallons as our heating oil business does, but even more margin. So that turned out to be a successful strategy. On the motor fuel side, we had a network of gasoline dealer stations, and again, they were putting up plywood over the windows. Just about every month we'd lose a station because of the major convenience stores that were coming through. So we said, how are we going to deal with this? Well, Clint Eastwood said a man's got to know his limitations. And we decided that we didn't have the wherewithal to build a network of massive convenience stores, big box convenience stores, if you will. So we looked at what do we do well that we can help these guys with. I mean, think about it. Costco's getting into the gasoline business. Walmart's getting into the gasoline business. So we decided that we know the midstream marketing side of the petroleum business really well. So we approached a local grocery store and grocery store chain. And lo and behold, they said, yeah, we're thinking about getting into gasoline. And we said, we can help you do that. Today they're our biggest customer. At that point we had 2 transport trucks on the road. Today we have 40 on the road. So that was a way that we took that potential adverse situation and turned it into a positive for us. Coming back to biodiesel again, we had ran it for a while in our own vehicles, our own homes, our own businesses, and we said, let's take it to market. And as I mentioned, some customers liked it, some didn't. But what happened was it grew to the point where it was a real pain for us, because now we were selling 2 products instead of 1. So we made a decision, and I'd like to say that it was an environmental decision or it was an altruistic decision that for the well-being of the community, but it was really a business decision. We said we can't be selling 2 products out here. One neighbor gets one product, the other gets the other, and we have multiple storage issues and so forth. So we said if anybody's going to buy distillate from us at the retail level, diesel or heating oil, it's going to have biodiesel in it. And we made that decision. We communicated that to our customers as positively and proactively as we could. We told them why it was green, we told them why it was red, white, and blue, and that we were going to do this for them. And then we held our breath, and we sat on the edge of our seats, and we wondered what was going to happen, because customers typically don't like change. What happened, thankfully, was that the customers loved it, and I believe that is because we made that decision for them. If we were going to wait for them to make a decision, have to take action to make a change, it was going to be a long, hard road. So we made that decision for them, and we told them why they could feel good about why we did that. The first month of September was September of 2004. We gained 500 net new customers that month. Customers wrote letters to the editor that said, here's a company that's doing the right thing for us. So we made that decision for them, made it easy for them. We had 5 million gallons of heating oil in 2004. We have 5 million gallons of heating oil today. And while it wasn't a growth strategy for us, it did what we tried to do, which was maintain that customer base. Okay? What else can we do to grow a business in a mature industry? Well, all of our customers use electricity, right? That's a natural fit. So we went through the process of becoming an ESCO, an energy service company, for electricity and natural gas. Not as easy as it sounds, for sure. There's a lot of collateral requirements. It does take capital. There's ways you can get around that by doing things, brokering and things like that, but we decided we wanted to take title to the product and market that to our customers. And what we found is, because electrons are electrons, if you're going to just try to sell electricity at a cheaper price, that's a pretty hard business model to make work. So what we found that works there is, if you sign up for electricity with us, you get a nickel off of your heating oil or propane, and together the difference is greater than what it was before the nickel. So and on the commercial side, we customize that discount for each individual one, and the nickel discount is for a finite period of time, basically for a season. So that's how we've been able to grow that. But think about it, every one of your customers uses electricity. On the natural gas side, we're all challenged with gas conversions. Well, one aspect of that is to do the conversion. If you have an HVAC business, to go ahead and do the conversion, but that's a one-time event, okay? And hopefully, if you're able to make money in your installation business, which sometimes we can, sometimes we can't, that may or may not even be a good thing there. So what advantage do we have to get that natural gas business if somebody's going to do that conversion? Well, number one, we want to grow in that business because it is a growth industry. So what we did again is take an adverse situation and said, how can we join this? How can we be a part of this and not necessarily sit here and grumble about it? While we maintain our heating oil base, because that's still our core business, we've got other opportunities. Instead of looking at them as adversity, how can we take advantage of them? So we partner with the utility. And most utilities, if not all, are required to be objective, right? They're a monopoly, so they're supposed to not be impartial. They're supposed to not be partial. And while some of them may not advertise it, if you have an HVAC business, you can get referrals from the utility. Okay, now they can't give them just to you, they have to give them to everybody, but you can get referrals from the utility. So you go ahead and so now you're in the chain. Not only if one of your customers is leaving, you're getting that gas conversion business, but now you're getting new customers that are building new houses or converting from other heating oil dealers or propane, what have you, or heat pumps to gas. You're getting that business. But that's a one-time event. So in my mind, you got to be selling the natural gas on top of that to create a continued revenue stream, to be able to sell those service contracts to the customers in time. So you may have to discount the installation to get that gas business, or the big thing that you have that the utilities don't have or other HVAC contractors don't have is that you can take care of that oil tank for that customer, okay? You can credit them for the oil that otherwise is going to be a big cost in that conversion installation. It's a cost to you for sure, but it's not as big of a cost to you. So there's another aspect of it there. So that's how we took a little heating oil company and turned it into a total energy company while maintaining a thriving, successful heating oil customer base, and in fact being able to sell them more and more products to the same customers as well. I'll just end up with saying how we got to form AMERIgreen. If you remember, I said that blending biodiesel in our distillates was really a challenge for us. It was logistically costly and inconvenient. And what we recognized in around 2004, 2005 is that biodiesel really should be blended at the terminal level, at the pipeline terminal or the barge terminal. That's where it should be blended at. That's the easiest place for it to be blended at. But lo and behold, there were no blending systems out there at the time. There was one in Peoria, Illinois, and we went out and visited that. And we took with us some engineering type folks. We had called John Arnold, who owns a large petroleum pipeline terminaling network in Pennsylvania, and said, we're having success with this biodiesel stuff. And John said, bio what? And we said, well, it's kind of this stuff that you make from soybeans and animal fat, but it works just like diesel fuel, and it should be blended at the terminal level. And John said, Seth, if you guys want to pay for a blending system at my terminals, knock yourself out. So that was the start of AMERIgreen. We recognized that there was a lack of blending infrastructure for biodiesel. We started building biodiesel blending systems in Pennsylvania, moved into New Jersey and New York, and we started wholesaling blended biodiesel and neat biodiesel to our own retail company and other companies like that. That was the start of AMERIgreen. What we also recognized is that heating oil dealers, again, have an inherent challenge that the market is not growing. So number one, how do you keep the customers that you have? And we had learned some ways that we could do that.